Okay guys, so now I am in my 525, yeah, and this car is going for its first tow truck route under my watch.
Saved about 500 bucks.
You save about 1,000 plus.
To work out cheaper for me.
3,000,
215, even more.
It's for 200 plus. 400 bucks of savings. The other day I wanted to do was checking the oil levels, checking the coolant levels, and I think I didn't close the expansion tank cap properly. So yesterday I drove to Sepang and back. Car no issues, ran like a champ. Then when I reached home to park the car, then I saw coolant on the floor. So I opened up the bonnet and I saw that there was coolant that was coming out from the expansion tank cap. So it leads me to suspect that it was a simple cause of me not properly closing the cap, and that was just utterly dumb of me. So right now the car has been stationary all night, not moved. Starts well. Now while waiting for the tow truck to lower this carrier, the temperature is still colder. The solution could be as simple as just topping up the radiator water, but I figured, I might as well get it towed to the workshop to ensure that everything is properly checked, to double confirm that there are no leaks in the system, and that this car is safe for further use. I mean, I could have done it. It's a relatively simple procedure. I could do the the whole bleeding process myself, but I figured I want to spend a bit more time on the weekends with my kids, so I'm just going to send it to the workshop, let site look through, and yeah, so I called Evo Club Insurance 1-800 hotline, and they sent this tow truck to me, well, I think in about 2 hours. And this is the mess that was left on the floor since last night. Well, probably quite minor, but I decided, well, let's not take the chance, and an opportunity to get the car in for some other work that I wanted to do anyways, because my mechanics already sourced the struts to fix the front seats. All right, and as a side, I've also decided that I'm going to take out the H&R springs with the Bilstein bead dampers front and back.
really too much for me.
What'll I do? What'll I do? What'll I do?
Hi guys, so an update. Well, car is done. Okay, I'm still recording from the 520i here, but basically 525 sorted out on the very same day. But it's just that the car is still left in the workshop for some other things that I will elaborate upon later. So to recap what has happened, it was 2 nights before. Well, I did the routine thing of opening up the bonnet to check the engine oil levels and the coolant levels, like any good BMW owner should. So the next day, early morning, I woke up, sent my daughter to school, then from there I went straight to Sepang. So all the way smooth traffic, went for the event, came back, smooth traffic also. And when I reached home, I saw water on the ground, alright, and I saw that the water had a blue tinge to it. I was thinking, oh shit, it has got to be the coolant. Coolant was seeping out through the expansion tank cap. Yeah, and immediately everything pieced together in my head. I must have neglected to properly close the expansion tank cap when I was done checking the coolant levels. It was a totally amateurish and entirely avoidable mistake on my part. So I left the car overnight. The next morning, there was still some coolant left inside the expansion tank, but I didn't want to take the chance to drive it. I was also concerned that air bubbles could have formed inside the plumbing, all right, and that would naturally, of course, result in overheating of the engine. The cooling system of a water-cooled car, right, basically is you have the radiator fan in front, and then the water runs through the radiator, which is cooled by the fan, and then that cooled water is pumped into the engine block, okay, through holes in the engine block, right, to extract heat from the engine, in order to ensure that the engine is properly cooled at all times. Your fan has to be blowing, one, and also the water has to continue circulating inside the engine. But at the same time, when your car is on the move, the airflow, okay, that is the result of your car moving and air coming into the engine bay, that also contributes to the cooling of your engine. So the thing is that, right, usually when you have a problem with your cooling system, let's say like you're having a slow problem, it is unlikely your car will overheat during a highway drive, because when you're moving, there's air coming into the engine bay to cool the engine. It is most of the time when you are stationary, when you're in a traffic jam, stop-go traffic, the air that comes in, okay, it's not coming in fast enough to extract the heat from the engine. That's when you have overheating problems. So that's why when I drove the car from PJ to Sepang and back, all the way smooth traffic on the highway speeds, no issues, because there was enough air flowing into the engine bay that there was no danger of the engine overheating. Now that's one. The other thing is that the cooling system or your coolant needs to run at pressure, because the pressure is what ensures the coolant flows around. That's one thing. And pressure also ensures that you see, the thing is that, right, the boiling point of water increases and decreases with surrounding pressure. At low pressure, low pressure, water boils easier, all right? But when you have higher pressure, you need more heat so that, you know, the water molecules can break the molecular bonds so that it becomes gas, all right? And that's why you need that higher pressure inside the cooling pipes, so that the water in your so that your coolant don't boil so easily. And that's why if you have air bubbles inside your coolant, that's bad, because that bubble will suck up pressure and result in easier boiling of your water. It's not that I neglected to close the radiator cap that day, but I presumably didn't close it all the way tight enough. So when I was starting the day, okay, of course the radiator is still closed, the expansion tank cap is still closed, and the coolant system was running fine. But as the day progressed, all right, as I drove the car for as we covered 50, 80, 90 kilometers, the pressure inside was slowly forcing the coolant out through the partially closed expansion cap. So that is also why when I reached Sepang, there was no coolant leak, because at that time there wasn't enough pressure built up in the system that forced its way through the expansion tank cap. But by the time I reached home, there was. So yeah, so basically called the tow truck, Evo Club Insurance tow truck, and I made the call at 12 o'clock to our 1-800 hotline, and well, and then later on the tow truck operator called me, confirmed the location, and then after that, from the moment I called, which is at 12 p.m, 1.5 hours later at 1:30 p.m, the car was loaded to the tow truck and on its way to my regular workshop, which is site lah. Okay, so sent the car in, he checked pressure test, no leaks, ran the engine, idle for about half an hour, no overheating, so car is good. And and that's it lah, solved lah. Okay, so he also, so if you remember also from one of my earlier videos, I mentioned that the seat adjustment, the struts that are holding the seat back is gone. So when I try to do the seat adjustment, when I pull the seat adjustment lever, the whole seat will just fall down basically, because there's no pressure supporting it, right? So he got that changed for me, got a pair of used ones for 60 ringgit, and yep, got that fixed. So why is the car still in the workshop? Well, simply put, I've made the decision to let go of the Bilstein B8 and H&R spring combo and suspension. My options would be to either go to comfort suspension or to go M Sport. Basically, I just want to revert that car to a factory setting. Currently, the 520i here running on full M Sport M Sport absorbers, M Sport springs, even M Sport anti-roll bars. This setup currently in this car feels perfect. Perhaps I should experiment with the comfort setup in the other car as well, so that I can tell the difference to you guys later on in the future, right? So Sai tells me that he has a set of used standard springs in him, and so we're going to put that in the 525, and also we're going to put in brand new absorbers to go with it as well. Guys, so here's the car, all done. Radiator changed. Hey, what's this? Okay, just tape on the tire. So you may or may not see it, the car now sits right higher, all right, because it's now running on standard springs and on comfort absorbers. So the previous set of H&Rs actually lowered the car's ride. So well, this standard ride height look is going to take some getting used to. Well, it looks a bit, well, but now I compare it with the other one over there, I think it looks almost the same ride height. But I have to bear in mind that my tires here are not to exact spec, because these are 225/45s, right? The correct spec for this car is supposed to be 235/45s. There will be a slightly thicker tire that may give it, you know, a better overall proportions. Okay, so just collected the car, and the difference is quite significant. All right, because now I'm driving through the roads of PJ, right? The improvement in the ride quality is substantial. Right now, at this moment, the ride, I can only describe it as being utterly sublime. All right, and this makes this car in line with the role I've lined up for it, which is to be my workhorse. Okay, so yeah, I mean, previously on some of the roads where I knew on the B8s and H&Rs there will be some hopping and you know, and bobbing a bit. This one, it's just magic carpet. It's almost magic carpet smooth. So some quick updates. All right, as of today, as the moment I record this, there is a buyer lined up for the previous spring and damper combo that I had in the car. So the proceeds of that sale, because I have yet to get the final bill from site with regards to all this, right, should quite adequately cover the overall my overall trip to the workshop, maybe with a slight surplus to pocket for other expenses as well. All right, so the thing is that, right, see, the thing is with the previous set, right, the H&R and B8 combos, it's a good configuration if you are for sports suspension. All right, let's cut in the context of a sport suspension. It is surprisingly comfortable. All right, it's the ride is still more pliant than say the G20 330iM Sport. All right, at least it's not jarring, it's not harsh. And in terms of the primary ride here referring to the way it deals with bumps, potholes, you know, the sharp jolts on the road, those kind of disturbances, the previous suspension actually coped fine. It is the secondary ride. In what I'm talking about is when undulations that go like this, that is when the car actually, you know, goes following the terrain of the road. So with this now in the standard suspension setup, the ride is amazingly plush. It's a very fitting configuration for a day-to-day car to ply my my work commitments and all those other chores. And also it means that I don't have to slow down as much over speed bumps compared to the previous set. The previous set, actually, that day when I was sending my daughter to daycare, right, I was negotiating over a speed bump. Even though I wasn't speeding over it, I'd scrape the bottom of the car. So even now, like just barely a few kilometers in, I'm really liking the ride of the car already. So yeah, well, it was this whole episode was an unexpected development, but one that threatened to be disastrous, but ultimately has led to a rather happy ending.